I thought my marriage was strong, until I realized everyone else knew a different version of it. For most of my marriage, I thought the hardest part would be learning how to live with another person. Compromising. Communicating. Letting go of small habits. I didn't expect the real strain to come from everyone outside of it. My wife and I had been married for 5 years when I started noticing how often people spoke around us instead of to us. Friends would make comments that felt slightly off. Jokes about how patient she must be. Questions about whether I ever felt restricted. Nothing direct enough to challenge, but enough to leave a residue. At first, I brushed it off. People always project their own issues onto marriages that look stable. I believed that. Then I noticed my wife growing quieter after gatherings. More distant. Thoughtful in a way that didn't feel peaceful. When I asked what was wrong, she'd say nothing. That she was just tired. That work was stressful. I wanted to believe her. But tension has a way of leaking out. One night, during a disagreement that should have been small, she suddenly asked me why I was always so controlling. The word hit me out of nowhere. I asked her what she meant. She hesitated, then said she'd been thinking a lot about things people had told her over the years. People. I didn't push her that night. I didn't want to turn curiosity into conflict. But the question stayed with me. Who were these people, and what exactly had they been saying? Over time, bits and pieces surfaced. A friend who told her I was emotionally distant. Another who said my calmness was a red flag. Someone else who suggested I was only kind because I wanted control. None of these people had ever asked me anything directly. What hurt most wasn't the accusations. It was realizing that while I thought we were building something together, there was a parallel version of our marriage being discussed without me. My wife didn't bring these things up angrily. That almost made it worse. She sounded confused. Torn. Like she didn't know what to believe. We started having long conversations that went nowhere. I would explain myself. She would listen. Then later, the same doubts would resurface, slightly reshaped by someone else's voice. I felt like I was constantly defending a version of myself that only existed in other people's imaginations. Then came the exhaustion. We stopped arguing because we were tired of misunderstanding each other. Nights were quiet in a way that wasn't restful. We'd sit in the same space, close but not connected, both afraid that talking would open wounds we didn't know how to close. I remember one evening clearly. We were sitting on opposite ends of the couch. The room was dim. No TV. No phones. Just silence. Finally, she said, "I don't know who to trust anymore." That was the moment everything shifted. I realized this wasn't about proving I was right. It was about choosing each other again, deliberately, without a committee of opinions weighing in. I told her something I should have said earlier, that our marriage couldn't survive if everyone else had a vote. That I was willing to listen to her fears, but not to defend myself against ghosts. She cried. Not dramatically. Quietly. Like someone releasing tension they didn't know they were carrying. We decided to pull back. From conversations that dissected our relationship. From friends who seemed more invested in diagnosing us than supporting us. From sharing details that didn't need an audience. It wasn't instant. Trust doesn't snap back into place. But slowly, something softened. We started checking in with each other first. Asking, is this actually bothering you, or did someone else say something? That question alone changed everything. A few months later, I overheard a conversation I wasn't meant to hear. A mutual friend talking about how disappointing it was that we hadn't fallen apart. How it made her feel behind. Less justified in her own choices. I didn't confront her. I didn't need to. I went home, sat next to my wife, and told her what I'd heard. We sat there for a long time, absorbing what it meant. We didn't feel victorious. We felt clear. Our marriage isn't perfect. It never was. But it's ours again. Private in the ways that matter. Honest in ways that don't require witnesses. I learned something I wish I'd understood earlier. Not everyone who asks about your relationship wants it to survive. And not every concern is love in disguise. Sometimes, protecting what you have means closing the door quietly and choosing each other when no one else is watching. Thank you for watching. Check out my channel for more stories like this. Please subscribe, like, comment and share. Midnight Tea Stories.